Hi friends, my name is Abby and I'm with HomeGrown HomeSewn in Cincinnati, Ohio, and today I am going to do a small tutorial for this Nantucket Summer Mini Charm bag. It is super sweet. If you are not a bag maker but maybe want to be, this is a great way to kind of dive into that. It's very easy. I have made 3 of them. I'm not a bag maker, friends, but I have made 3. So I encourage you in the link below, you can go ahead and purchase the pattern, and so you can follow along. If you've already purchased the pattern and you've purchased one of our kits, then you're ready to start. Get all your stuff out and get ready to work. So here is the pattern again, and this is the kit that I'm using that we have sold at our shop, and I will link below any additional kits that we have. This one has an ivory colored zipper, nice creamy there. We're using the little Ducklings mini charm by Paper and Cloth for Moda. If you got our kit, it does come with the little D-ring you need. I chose silver for this one. And then my 2 pieces of fabric are a little buttercup and then a gray dot, which I think will be excellent with these sweet colors. Now I chose this because I thought this would be actually a great little bag to make a new mom. And you can stuff all sorts of fun things in it for the baby, or protein things for the mama, all sorts of things like that. But any of these bags you make, they're going to be wonderful as gifts. I use mine for colored pencils. I know many other people use them for like lotions in their bags or traveling or little sewing gadgets. So it's a really versatile little pattern here. As with all patterns, I do suggest that you go ahead and read through the entire pattern from start to finish so that if you have any questions, you know you can bring them to your local quilt shop. You can comment on here and I am happy to answer them as well. And then next up, of course, is to press. So go ahead and press your fabric so that we are all set to go. You will notice here that it says all seams are a scant 1/4 inch. Now I naturally do that with my machine. With all of my piecing. But if you don't do that, go ahead and just take note of that. And then know that I'm following the navy and white version because I like having that print on the outside with the 2.5 inch square. So your next step is to take your 2.5 inch or your mini charms as Moda calls them, and you are going to arrange them in whichever way you like, and then we're going to seam them together. Now that I've arranged them how I want them, I'm going to join them in rows, and then when I press, I'm going to press them alternating so that when I put the rows together, they nest. If you are a chain piecer, this is going to be a great time to do that because you can get all 8 rows done quickly. I happen to not chain piece because I have a knee lift and I have a cutter on my pedal. So I'm going to do it my way, you do it yours. And remember, we are using a scant 1/4 inch seam allowance right now. Finish all those up and I'll see you back here. Once you've pieced all of your rows together, then you're going to press them to alternating sides. So I'm doing a design here when I have blue, blue, and then the next one down here will be blue, and so forth. So I'm going to press to that dark side. Now how I do that is I have the dark side up and I just give a gentle roll and like a little finger press there. And then I take my iron and I just press it. Okay, if you press too hard and you kind of roll with your iron, sometimes it'll be a little bit of a wonky seam. That is why I just kind of do that gentle little roll with your fingertips. Hold it there for a second and press and use the iron. Now, I don't use steam. A lot of people do use steam. If steam is your friend, go for it. I tend to steam at the end of a block and to give everything a nice secure hold and to give everything a nice flatness. But just with this, I kind of move through quickly, and I'll often do several, I'll have several out rowed at a time. So I'll have them like this. And then I'll kind of roll it open. Roll it open. Roll it open. And then I'll kind of move it through all 3 at one time to kind of maximize my time there. but you do whatever method you like best. Okay, now that all those are pressed, I'm going to take them and I'm going to nest them together, as you can see right there. They'll line up perfectly, and I'm going to sew all the rows together. Now I've completed this and I'm going to press. I'm going to go ahead and press my seams open here, okay, which can be a little bit tricky at times, but just take your time, and I usually do a nice finger press first. It makes it easier for the head of my iron there to get in nicely. And we're going to do that all the way down. Then we're going to turn it over and we're going to give a nice steam press to the whole front. I have gone ahead and cut my next pieces. These will go on either side here. So I'll go ahead and piece those together and press them. And I will mention though that when cutting, whenever you can use your ruler to cut rather than your cutting mat, it will give you a more precise cut. So especially on smaller things. So if you can see, I'm lining up my ruler here, and I need this to be 3 inches wide right here. And so it's going to give me that nice precise cut. I can line it up here and here, and it just makes for a nicer finish. Okay, so I'm going to do those on both of these, and then I'm going to go ahead and piece these all together and press them. Here it is. Okay, so this is the outside of the bag. Now I'm going to trim this up to the measurements that the pattern has said, but you can see how cute is that? Isn't that going to be great for a new mom or grandma, Nana, Gigi, Mimi, you know, whatever grandmother's called. Throw in their bag with some baby stuff in it. It's going to be so sweet. Okay, so from here, I'm going to trim this up to the size the pattern says, and I went ahead and I already cut my back piece. This is going to be the inside. I chose to put this on the inside. I just love that buttercream. This is actually a French General Solid, and it's just, oh, it's so great. It's lovely. Anyway, so this is going to be my inside. I'm also at this time going to grab, so I'm going to trim both those up to the sizes that the pattern says. I'm also going to grab my batting. Now, the pattern does call for something more like, that's a little bit more stable. You can use a piece of fleece or foam stabilizer like a bosal or batting. I like my bag a little bit, let me grab this, a little, you can hear my colored pencils in there, a little bit flimsier. So I just put some extra batting from one of my quilts in here. So I'm going to trim that up, and then I will show you how I sandwich them together in order to quilt the bag. Okay, so I've trimmed everything to the appropriate sizes. Now I'm going to lay it out. So obviously, if this is my lining, it needs to be, the right side of the fabric is down, because obviously you want it facing out. And then you're going to put this batting on top. Now your batting and your lining are going to be the same size. And then your outside of the bag is going to be, as you can tell, there's a little room there, and that's for the quilting, because often things stretch out with the quilting, and you don't want to run out of fabric on the back. So what I'm going to do to baste this, you can pin for sure. I just do not prefer pins. There are a lot of people who do, and on a small project like this, this would be a great time to practice pinning and quilting if you want to try that out. I'm going to use my 505 temporary spray. Now I will tell you about this. Obviously it's sticky. That's what makes it stick together. So don't spray this on your cutting mat, because then it will make your cutting mat sticky. So I always spray it on my pressing board here. And I change my cover, or I wash my cover every so often. It gets a lot of wear and tear with all the samples, but I wash or change this every so often. So a little bit of adhesive material on it is not a big deal for me, but definitely don't spray this on your cutting mat, because you don't want to clean that up. Now I'm going to show you how I mark it for when I do my machine quilting. So you see that this is going to finish at 2 inches wide. I like a 1 inch, or you could even do 1/2 inch lines. So I just kind of start knowing, all right, this is my 1 inch. So then what I do is I use my ruler and I measure. I'm starting from the center seam here, and I measure, and I use this. I don't use pen, any sort of ink on my material, my fabric. I use a Hera marking tool. I go over it well, and you can see that line there. And then this is going to be my next inch. So then from there, I line up this inch here. And I make an additional mark there. And then from there, I make an additional. And I just keep working my way out. And then I will actually spin my mat around. And I will do the other side then. So I'll measure this 1 inch and I'll mark. And I'll keep doing that. And then I'll take it to my machine. And from there, I will stitch it. Now, I just use my regular foot. I do not use a quilting foot or anything since I'm just doing some simple straight line. So you don't have to worry about changing feet or anything like that if you don't want to, but I do change my stitch length. I make my stitch length just a little bit longer than I usually would. You can see on here, kind of zoom in there. This, I usually do about a 2.5. This is a little bit longer of a stitch length, and I just like the look that it gives. If you like a tighter stitch length, go with that. You know, use some test fabric and test it out and decide what kind of stitch length you like. I also will be using just a 401 of my superior thread because I want the stitching to show up on this yellow. I think that will look really nice and polished and finished. So if you have a different color kit and you want it to blend in, then find a nice one that matches your print here. If you want it to pop, then do a contrasting color. But kind of work with your fabric, see what you like, and I'll show you how I stitch. So I changed my stitch length to 3. And I am just going to go ahead and stitch along real nice and gentle. I don't go super fast as I would when I'm piecing, just nice and steady. Now that we've finished our quilting, how sweet does this look? And then here's the back side. All right, and then I went ahead and I stitched 1/8 of an inch in on both of these sides just to give it more security like the pattern says. Next, what we're gonna do is flip this over and we're going to do some little corner cutouts on all 4 sides. And that will help us attach our zipper and have a right placement. So I'm gonna go ahead and measure those out. And again, I'm gonna mark them with this, a little marking tool there. And what we're gonna do is scissor cut those out. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut my corners out, as well as I'm gonna go ahead and get my little tabs ready. So you're gonna fold this in half, okay? And just kind of finger press is what I would do. And then you're gonna fold toward that press on both sides. And then I would hit this with a little bit of steam. Gonna fold it in on itself. Okay, so you'll have this. Hit that with a little steam, and then you're just going to put a little top stitch along both this edge and this edge. You're gonna do that for both of these pieces, okay? And then we're gonna put a D-ring on one and knot on the other, and then we're gonna do a little top stitch over top here. So I will do those things, and then we will move to the scary zipper. I kid, it's not scary at all. You guys can totally do it. Okay, you can see that I've made both my little tabs, and I'm going to top stitch 1/8 of an inch in on both sides. So for me, that's kind of halfway between the edge of my foot and my needle. I'm gonna do the other side. Okay, so I'm going to do that for both of them. You can see I kept my quilting stitch length on there, the 3, since this doesn't need to be, it's going to be tacked to the bag. So I'm going to do another one of these, and then on one of them, I'll do this first one. You're going to put your D-ring on there. You're going to meet up the ends right there, and you're gonna stitch across to secure it. On the other one, you're not gonna put the D-ring on, and you're just gonna stitch across it without the D-ring. So here is what that looks like. And I go back over mine on reverse. Just give a little more security, and you can trim all those little edges off. But that's what your one is gonna look like with the D-ring. And then you'll have one without that. Next up is the zipper. So here's my zipper. It's obviously longer than I'm gonna need it. We will trim that down, don't worry about that at all. There is an excellent, I'm gonna show you this portion here. There is an excellent diagram for putting the zipper in. It helped me along greatly, so I know it will to you too, but I am going to show you how to do this. So what you're going to do is you've kind of folded this in half. I just give it a quick press real quick. It helps create a nice bottom here. So what you're going to do is you are actually going to then, I open this up, and you're going to put right sides together with the zipper. So you are going to put your zipper right here, and if you're a pinner, this will be a great time to pin. I'm not a pinner, so I'm not going to, but this is how I would put those pins in if I were a pinner. Just kind of put one there and probably one about right there. I know a lot of you are pinners, so I'll just go ahead and leave those in. They create a little more bulk than I like, but I can certainly work with them. So you're gonna stitch. It's a zipper foot is recommended. I almost never use my zipper foot. On my Juki that I have, it's a very skinny foot, and I find I can get a great zipper put in without the zipper foot, but it is recommended that you use that. So go ahead and switch to your zipper foot, and then what we're gonna do is you are just going to zoop right along there, and then what'll happen is you'll flip this open, and then we'll fold the bag in. I'll show you how to do that on this next section. And then you're going to move your zipper, and you're going to do the same thing along the other edge here. So let's sew this in. Okay, we are ready to tack down the first side of our zipper. So don't forget, if you were quilting with a different stitch length, to go ahead and put that back to your standard stitch length. Mine's kind of 2 over because I do a standard 2.5. So we're going to go ahead and tack that down. Okay, so you can see that's tacked down. See how it's going to fold open there, and you're going to have a nice finished edge for the outside of your bag. Now what you're going to do is you're going to kind of fold this so that the lining is out, and you are going to meet this up. You're going to even these little sides out right here. That's kind of part of the reason you have that cutout, is you can help line up your zipper. Let me get this angle in here for you guys. You can line up your zipper there correctly. And then you're going to kind of pull it back. What I do is, and you're going to tack that down. So I'm going to flip it on this side. See how it lays perfectly nicely right there. And I'm going to tack this side down. I almost never tack the first side down. I never pin it. I did to show you guys, but I do on this one because I want to make sure that this right here is lined up perfectly straight. You see that? You want to make sure that that lines up straight. Otherwise, your bag zipper is going to look a little bit wonky. And nobody wants a wonky zipper when they've worked hard on a project. So tack that one down too. And you know, I might put a third one in the center just to hold that nice and still for me. So, get this in. I kind of go under the zipper and then through the edge there. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and tack. Okay, so I've tacked both sides down. Now, you're gonna flip this inside out. So you got these big gaps, so it's easy to do. You're gonna flip it just like that. So your outside will be on the outside, okay? And see, you have a wonderful zipper there. Look at that. That wasn't hard, was it? No, not at all. Now, what you are gonna do though, is you're gonna move your zipper pull and you're gonna move it to the center. And that just allows you to be able to do the next step without any little complications. Okay, our next step is actually to sew across this raw edge here, as well as this other side. And that's just to secure your zipper before we finish the corners off. So you're gonna have to kind of tuck this part. I kind of fold it in a little, and then you make sure this is real nice and pretty much laying as flat as you can without getting the bottom part of the bag in there. And you're just gonna stitch right along here. It can go through the zipper, don't worry. Okay, there's one stop. Then, and this is why we opened this halfway, because if you stitch down and your pool is on the other side, you won't have a pool on your zipper. So you move that to the center. Then you just very gently, we're gonna fold this part in again here. You line it up as flat as possible. See, I'm going to just make sure that those are aligned. I'm gonna lay it real nicely like that, like so, and I'm gonna sew straight across there, all right? You're just gonna line that up nicely, and you're gonna go over it with the raw edge there. And you know, what I do is I will go back and forth over just that zipper part 1 or 2 times. That's just gonna give a little extra security to your zipper. See how you've created that? And now, boop, it stops right there. Next, we're just gonna trim off the ends, all right? So I have my handy dandy little scissors. We're gonna trim. We're gonna do the other side as well, because you don't need that excess either. Okay, so trim up that little guy. That is what you should have so far. Now I've gone ahead and flipped my bag so that the lining is on the outside again. Get a few of those little threads off of there. And then the pattern calls us to cut out another notch right here. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that on this bottom side. This is where pressing that bottom corner is gonna come in really handy. It's gonna make a nice nice boxed bottom for you. So you're gonna cut out the space here, as the pattern says, and the space here. So I'm gonna do those, and then we're gonna stitch right up along this side, and that'll start to finish our bag off. And then we'll do our 2 little corners, which I would say are maybe the most complicated section, but I would not really call them complicated. Once you do it once, you really get the hang of it. Okay, so you can see I've cut these 2 out, and then I am going to sew 1/4 of an inch in right along here. Then we'll finish up our bottom corners. Take that little thread off. Okay, now that we've stitched along there, you can see we no longer can pull that apart. We're gonna take this bottom corner, not the zipper, the bottom. I'm gonna point this towards you so you can sort of see it here. You are gonna fold that, and you're gonna line it up just like so. And then you're gonna stitch here in order to close the seam. You're gonna use a 1/4 inch seam allowance, and then you can also go over this raw edge with a zigzag. I don't have a zigzag ability on my straight stitch, so what I do is I actually do an inner seam as well at 1/8 of an inch. You can do, it gives a more polished edge to do a zigzag, but I just don't have that capability on this machine right now. So it's a little bit, you just got to get your fingers used to holding it there. You can certainly pin this. Right. And I would go over those ends, reverse them. I am going to do the same thing then as well on the other side. So you're going to repeat that step. So there's my first seam. And then I'm going to do another stitch right between the edge and here. I know it seems a little bit cumbersome, but it really is easy to manipulate this, especially because I used batting. And just remember, I'll show you on the second side, this is a trick I kind of learned after I made the first one, is if you feel like these are kind of not meeting up properly and it's kind of pointed out in your bottom, it's like sticking out like that and you don't want that, what I do is I kind of take the bag and I open it up a little and then I kind of pull it flat like this, because that's going to give you that nice little straight edge there then. So that's a little tip that I learned the first time around. So I'll share that with you so that you have it now. Okay, now to attach our little tabs. First, you're going to take the end where the zipper is closed, okay? Not the end where it's open, the end where it's closed. And what you're going to do is you're going to line this up the same way you did those bottom corners, okay, like that, just like so. And you're going to make sure whatever way you pressed this bottom one, or I'm sorry, piece, you're going to press it that way when you sew. So that way it folds flat the same way. All right, so you're going to center that. You're going to press it the right way. And then what you're going to do is you're going to take your non-D-ring tab and you're going to put that with the tabby side in and your raw edge side meeting up right there with the zipper, the center of the zipper, and the center seam right there. So it's sandwiched. So your tab, your finished tab end is going to go on the inside. That will mean when we flip the bag right side out, your tab is, correct. So we're going to do the same thing. We're going to sew this all down. And again, that finished zigzag would be a great polished end look here. If you don't have that capability, don't worry, your bag will still look magnificent and it will still hold up. And I know that because I made my bag when this pattern came out a few months ago, and it is, happy. It's still a happy, happy little bag holding all my wonderful colored pencils. Sorry, one of my little tabs moved a little for me, so I'm going to reline him up. Okay, so I'm just going to do the 1/4 inch seam again here and put that little, almost like a little stitch retaining wall in, since I don't do the zigzag, and then we'll do the next side. Okay guys, we are to our last step. We're going to take the tab with the D-ring. Now, because this is the open side, it's just connected by that little stitch, so just be a little ginger, a little gentle with it. And you do want to make sure that you butt those zipper pieces up next to each other so that it doesn't get sewn together slightly open. So you're going to make sure again that you're pressing this seam, or I'm sorry, you're sewing this seam to the same side. You're going to put your D-ring inside, okay? So line him up in the center. And then you're going to put your zipper lined up, okay? And then you're going to piece that. You're going to put a seam there, 1/4 inch in, all right? Same thing as the other side. Okay, so we've sewn all of these, sewn these, we've done the sides. We're ready to just gently go in here and kind of move your zipper back a little bit. I kind of hold one end and then I loop my finger in here and I gently, gently pull. It doesn't want to listen now, huh? There we go. Open that. I just very carefully flip it the right side. Okay. Then we kind of get in there with our fingers, box that out. Box this side out right here. Then you're going to kind of do that here too, kind of box those two sides out. Box these two sides out as well. And then, and something I didn't mention, which I did on my second and third bag, but I didn't do on my first bag, and I forgot on this one, guys, I'm sorry, is I actually go and I top stitch this down so it doesn't flip like that. You could certainly do that a little bit after the fact if you have a nice machine. It doesn't have to be done, but there it is. There is that cute little bag. Great for any gift for anybody. Well, I hope you all enjoyed this tutorial and making this darling little bag, the Nantucket mini charm bag. Go ahead and grab the pattern if you have it. We do still have some kits available, or grab some stuff that's in your stash. And I hope you make many more of these. All right, so if you liked that video, go ahead and like it, subscribe to us, and if you make this sweet little bag, go ahead and tag us on Instagram and Facebook. We are at HomeGrown HomeSewn, and again, we're a local quilt shop in Cincinnati, Ohio, and my name's Abby. Happy quilting! Bye!